The spine is one of the most perplexing structures in the body due to its adaptability. For example, the spine has viscoelastic properties, which to some extent means that it has contradictory properties. Essentially, they can act almost like a solid or as like a liquid in different scenarios. And for a long time, this has had me utterly confused over whether or not we should be stabilizing the spine or moving the spine. And I've done a lot of videos on that in the past, and I think the overarching thing that I keep coming back to is that the base design of the spine is a flexible rod that can be stiffened and supported by all the musculature and structures around it, and that it's meant to do both. Now, how we go about that, what the risks are, that's a whole other topic. It's clear that there's more than one function at play here, right? So the closed, packed position, this is where we get the most stability, where the most articular surfaces are touching each other. That's basically the neutral position, maybe a little bit of extension, which is the position that you deadlift in. Right, it's a position that you want to lift a lot of weight in. Makes a lot of sense. So when we're lifting something quickly or under heavy load, the disc is essentially acting as a solid. It's an elastic force. It's very stable. Whereas when we're lifting something lightly or slowly, it's more viscous. It's more allowing more range of motion. Right? It's simultaneously holding these contradictory abilities. It's kind of beautiful. And now it's very easy for us to dismiss positions like flexion. Now, if anybody wants to see a million reasons not to go into flexion, if you read any of Dr. Stuart McGill's work, it's a lot of load that it puts on the spine. A great example of that is the facet joint, so some of the things in the vertebra that sort of lock together prevent some movement. In flexion, there's less contact area and probably more or the same level of pressure on that smaller area, which means way more force, way more likelihood of something breaking. But also, why isn't it just a fused structure then, right? Why is it capable of that movement? Well, likely some sort of survival, right? We want to be able to move in that way. It gives us some sort of freedom. So I think to some extent we can kind of have our cake and eat it too, but it doesn't mean that we're going to do a Jefferson curl with deadlift weight. Right? We want to get to the point where we can have a neutral, stabilized spine, but also move through the spine with very little load. And again, if we looked at the adaptability of the spine, even the different spine movements cause different effects. So like coming into flexion reduces the disc height and sort of forces water out of the disc. This is interesting because to be stable, we actually want a bit of a smaller disc. Like, for example, you don't want to move the spine in any real way first thing in the morning because you're taller. There's more water in the disc, so it's taller and it's more susceptible to more range, and therefore won't be as stable. And on the flip side, in extension, we can increase the height of the disc and actually force some water to be reabsorbed into it. Now, I don't know why you'd want it to be reabsorbed versus not, but clearly there's this interplay and adaptability where different positions, they change the way that the spine interacts, that we interact with the world. And whilst I don't yet have the perfect way to heal the spine and ensure that we can safely do these ranges of motion, I think it's fair to say that we're meant to be capable of both. For those of you who don't know, I've been learning all of this and more as a part of my 50 Days to Rebuild challenge, where I do 50 minutes of exercise and read 50 pages of a physio/exercise book in a day in attempts to rehab myself. A lot of what I've talked about today has come from Newman's kinesiology, and this is day 46. Looking at the exercise portion of things, I did have some sort of pain this morning through above my spine of my scapula, so around that supraspinatus area. I'm not sure if this is from dislocates, sort of my best guess. It's a very hectic, intense shoulder movement. So it was more like DOMS than anything, very, very palpable, I touched it and it was sore. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but just something to keep an eye out on. With the calf raise and the step down / Patrick step, that went really well. It's super shaky, it's a lot of load that I'm not really familiar with, but ultimately all went quite well until it started to get a bit sore on the knee. So I did just try and walk backwards because this was really just like a patella type of pain. So walking backwards, I know from knees over toes is very helpful for that type of knee pain, though I would argue not the best for many other types. But that seemed to help. And today I introduced a seated good morning. This felt pretty good actually. It's been a long time since I've done this, but at first it felt a little too hamstring dominant, and it was sort of strumming through the hamstrings. This is something I've sort of battled with a lot, but I really try to keep my feet planted and maintain this neutral position of my feet and with the arches that I've been working on. That and really trying to squeeze through my glutes actually went quite well. It did incorporate the hamstrings, even though I wasn't trying to per se, but I was able to keep the glute squeeze on and sort of stay connected rather than collapsing and getting that hamstring strum, like where the tension's moving somewhere it shouldn't all of a sudden. So yeah, that was really good actually. I am not 100% on the form yet. Like I noticed that I'm pushing back really far to try and have this hinge. And almost like my hips are fully translating backwards, which is what's meant to happen in a hinge, but I don't know if like I'm doing it right when I'm seated. Like I don't know if you should basically have your pelvis stay still and then just sort of rotate, or if it should be pushing backwards as well. That's definitely what's happening in my case, but look, it felt good, so we'll see what happens. And on a similar vein with the hinge, really forcing myself to not collapse into my lateral feet and invert my feet. Way harder, but it feels good. It feels way more connected. And yeah, that is about it for day 46. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.